Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you my process for creating local city service pages, or just you could also be used for just service pages. So, for example, if you're a plumber in Boston or an electrician in, Manchester or something like that, this is the process I go through. A year ago, the process would have been totally different. A year from now, the process is going to be totally different. But this is how I do it now. Um, if you need help with local SEO, e-commerce SEO, any of that stuff, WordPress hosting, web design, any of that stuff, go head over to norzer.me. We can help you out. And then join the Discord, which is linked below. It's just a group of SEO people just talking about things and helping each other out. So feel free to join that. So I've rehearsed very little of this. I don't have a script, don't have notes. So there's going to be a lot of issues that I run across, that I run into as I go. But people seem to like that because if it's perfectly scripted, well, people like to see the issues. I've gotten that feedback before. So I have no idea how long this is going to take. I'm not going to show you every last little thing that I do. I'll kind of just explain the things that could take it, some building the page out is going to take an hour or two. But I'll kind of highlight what I'm doing. So hopefully this makes sense. Please, if you could help me out in the comments below, type the keywords you typed to find this video. That would be super helpful. And again, join the Discord below. It's totally free. Not looking to sell you anything. In there, I offer my free SEO audit checklist, all kinds of free processes and procedures, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so what you want to do is CPR classes Baton Rouge. So let's say we're creating a service page for CPR classes Baton Rouge. First thing you want to do is let's just look at the top few from different domains and just eyeball them. So let's look at what's important. Classes certification Baton Rouge. Okay, classes certification. Certification. Then we got some type of certification lettering here. So this looks similar. BLS, classes Baton Rouge, first aid. Okay. BLS certification. So what sticks out to me is classes, certification, and I know I'm making typos, but that's okay. And then letter cert types, right? So let's copy this in. It's probably going to be a somewhat lengthy video, but I want to lay this out completely for you guys. We'll just do this. And I know it could be more, but we'll just do that. Oh, and first aid was another one. But just glancing at the top results, those seem to be important keywords. From an SEO point of view, whatever Google shows as the top results for your keyword or for your query, that's what you want to provide it, right? So if the top results uses the keywords classes, certification, first aid, et cetera, that's what Google expects. So if your title is something completely different than that, there's a good chance Google is going to think you don't answer that query. So let's just do this. But as you see, a lot of this will be automated. This is kind of just eyeballing and getting ideas. Let's kind of see. Okay, this is actually not that good. I mean, it's got good text, but it doesn't have. Let's look here. 1H1. Oops. CPR classes Baton Rouge. So that's actually good, but it's pretty plain, right? And it's got a call to action. Okay, this one looks a little bit better. It has embedded reviews, which I like, and we'll go over all this. You can do the scheduling here, which is really good. I like that. Let's do embedded reviews, schedule on page, pricing. That's good. Pricing. So this is a good one here. It's got a good embedded video, better use of headers, good list. This one's a lot better, in my opinion. It really answers the query. This page looks very familiar. So we are CPR-LA. So let's look at this one. No H1, CPR classes and that's perfect. It's got two H1s, which ideally you only want to have one H1. Then nest the H2s inside the H1, then nest the H3s inside the H2s, etc. So certification, good use of graphics, CPR card, CPR card, what people are saying. So it's got reviews too. Okay, this is pretty basic. I like that it links out to its social profiles. That's good. So that just gives me a rough idea of what's going on, right? Whatever you want to do, when you create your service page, you want to take the best of all the pages that are there and improve upon those. Okay. So now that we got that, let's move on to using my custom GPT. So the easiest way to go there, and I'll link to this below, is just go to Norzer.me biz page. And this is totally free. There's nothing to buy. And it's slow because I'm logged into WordPress, as you can see up here. Then just click here. This will just take you to the custom GPT that I wrote. And type in CPR classes Baton Rouge. So this is going to create a framework for the service page that we're working on, the city service page we're working on. So if it was something else, like electrician Boston, you'd type that here. Here's just some few examples. And let's click go. And it's going to give you a ton of stuff, right? At this GPT is actually going to build the landing page. You got to use common sense, right? You got to modify it at the end to make sure it actually makes sense. So a lot of this stuff, you don't really need to make notes of it all. This is just building the framework essentially for the GPT to build based on all this information that it spits out. So this is saying create a header section, create a hero section, create an introduction, why choose us. I think that's very important. And these are like class offerings. So you can recognize these words: BLS, ACLS, PALS. I'm guessing that's probably this stuff if we really dug in further, but we don't have an unlimited amount of time here. So meet our instructors, that's really good. FAQ, I think it's very important to have FAQs at the end of pages, especially because it's a good way to extend the length of your content, but there's always a handful between 3 and 7 frequently asked questions related to a query, and you generally want to include those in the page. So for example, you can just CPR classes Baton Rouge, look here. People also ask. And if you click the last one, or maybe any of them actually, it'll actually put more down here. But this GPT actually gets these frequently asked questions. Okay. So let's just keep going. So the knowledge graph. So these are the top 20 keywords for CPR classes Baton Rouge. So look, you recognize some of these: classes, training, certification, learn CPR. Of course, it says Baton Rouge after all of them. You don't want to do that every time because that would be quite excessive. Here's these letters: BLS, ACLS, PALS, first aid. So this kind of summarizes everything in the titles that we saw, right? And these are entities. So keywords are, these keywords appear on this page. Entities are more of an AI thing, and AI entities have relationship with other entities. So for example, Babe Ruth is, and I might be using a little bit incorrect terminology here, is an entity, a person entity, and it's part of a a type of baseball player, which would be another entity. So there's a relationship between baseball player and Babe Ruth, and then Babe Ruth has a relationship to New York Yankees because that's the baseball team that it was on. So I'm no AI expert, but it puts context behind keywords in a sense. So you can see it should be pretty similar to what you're seeing up here. Okay, so H1 ideas. If you want some manual H1 ideas, this is good. H2s, H3s, H4s, FAQs. So these are FAQs I would pull from when I'm creating my page. And you got to use common sense. You may not like any of these. So just, go here and pull from here. This is just pull from here. This is just one tool. But I'm having pretty good success allowing AI to do pretty much everything, right? And then just making minor tweaks at the end. Okay, so engrams. So these are words that commonly appear together. Engrams meaning 2 grams, 3 grams, 4 grams, 5 grams. So there could be 5 words, which all these look like they're 2-word engrams. So if you wanted, 5-word engrams, at the end here, you could say, show me 5-word engrams for this query. And it could say something like Baton Rouge CPR certification classes. Those 5 words commonly appear together, right? Looks like all these are 2, oddly enough. So, okay. I used to do 2-word, 3-word, 4-word, but this GPT, this output just got to be too long. And AI is still kind of in its infancy. So Midjourney prompt. So when you need an image for your page, right? You don't want to use stock photos, Google actual images, and people tend to, I guess I shouldn't say real because it's AI generated. These are just these are prompts you could throw in to Midjourney. So let me bring Midjourney over here. I'll do imagine aspect resolution 16.9. I always like to do, well, you can get into mid-journey stuff. I like to do ultra realistic. I like to version 6.0, but this will just give us an image to throw on the page, right? So let's just do this and well, I'm not going to pause it. I'll let you see how long it takes. It'll probably take a minute. So it's going to look probably cartoonish, but if we did ultra realistic, if we did version 6.0, if we said looks like this actually isn't bad. So we would just take this one, the first one, or whichever one we want, and this could be an image for the page. Now we would, SEO optimize the image by using a file name in the file name. I use the keywords from the query for the service page, and in the alt text as well. Now, if you didn't like the output of any of these, you could just go back to ChatGPT at the end and say, "Give me 10 mid-journey prompts for a." Let's take this for example. So if you go to Santa year round, it's slow also because I'm logged in. So you can see here traditional Santa. All these are AI generated. So what I did, well, this is AI generated, right? So I got the AI generated text, and then you could go to ChatGPT. So let's say you had this blurb of text. Give me, and I always ask for, about five, 3, 4, 5, whatever, mid journey prompts I can use to create an image that goes with this text. Boom. And that will give you this text and you throw it to mid journey. Now, in this example, for example, for film, media, and TV, you just use common sense. And I went in here and said, imagine, create Christmas themed TV commercial being filmed. And I did AR 16:9 and I made ultra realistic. So that's kind of, you can see kind of this one looks similar. So that's how I got it. And I just filled all these out, right? So yeah, that's that. So going back to here, so that's mid-journey stuff. Let me set my thing on do not disturb. Hopefully this works. Do not disturb is on. Okay. Um, so this is just some bonus stuff. Niche ideas or unique angles. And I get some really valuable stuff out of this. CPR classes for expectant parents or families. So I would write this down. This could be a dedicated service page that you put on your website. CPR training for local businesses and their employees. Because you can imagine people are searching for CPR training for my business or employees. If you don't have a page for this, you don't mention this text anywhere, it's much less likely you're going to show up in the search results. CPR training for healthcare professionals, even though that should be obvious, that's what you're doing, but make sure you have a page for that. Pediatric CPR care. There's also another one I found, and I was looking at this, many, many months ago. CPR training for animals, for pets. So this isn't related to this page we're working on, but this is stuff you're going to put on your to-do list. And this, you know, you would just go back to build this page up, do what we're doing now. So if you want some content ideas, and I can help you. I have a GPT that'll help you build content as well. Additional areas to improve. Let's continue generating. Sometimes it gets hung and you have to continue generate. Well, it doesn't get hung, but you need to make sure you might think it's done, but it's not. So here's I've gotten some great tips in this area too. Local SEO optimization, content marketing, social media engagement, partnerships. Okay, this is all kind of common sense stuff. So here's where it gets really cool. If you need further assistance or would like me to write a copy, feel free to let me know. Okay, I'll say yes, please write. And it's going to take all of this stuff and put together the not just the outline for the service page or landing page, but the actual text. So you can see here, this would be the H1. And you can see, let's see, here we go. BLS, ALCS, PALS, those are the keywords earlier. Certified instructor. So it says now, of course, it doesn't know your instructors. Benefits of our CPR training. Testimonials, certification requirement. Okay, so I was making sure that it said certification. So if we go back to our notes, certification was a thing. So I probably would finagle. Okay, here's some good frequently asked questions as well. I would probably in the title. Okay, so give me, even though we can get these above, 5 SEO optimized engaging page titles for this. Let's see what it says. Okay, this is pretty good. But I probably would weave in first aid and certification to this title. So like I said, you got to use common sense, right? It's not a human being. Um, so you don't even have to think about it. You can say I need the titles to include certification and first aid. Try again. Okay, and you wanted to say training too. We could go all day with this. So let's just, you could say make sure it says training as well. CPR and first aid certification trainings. This might be something, right? Um, I'd spend more time with this, but let's just say we want to use this one. So we'd put that and do the same thing for a meta description. Get a meta description you like, right? So what I next do, and I'll give you the text for this. If you look at, let me get a sip of drink here, 1 second. Where is my, we're going to edit it, and I'll give you this text here. I like to also run this through Gemini. Now you have to, the title of the service page is CPR training. Let me pause it real quick. Okay, so then you just copy it, and we will throw this into Gemini. It's likely going to be right about the same stuff. I like the way ChatGPT hands formats things personally. So just look through here and make sure there's nothing else obvious that you're missing. CPR training, small bit. Okay, that's kind of interesting. And see, it actually stopped after this. So yeah, I still think Gemini is kind of, if I do continue. Okay. H3s, 9, blah, blah, blah. FAQs. Okay, keep going. See, it's not as obvious with Gemini that it can keep going. All this looks pretty similar. And we're going to catch a lot of this on the back end too. So you could skip this step if you wanted to. And look at the additional advice is pretty similar. Look at the niche ideas. Yeah, this is actually a good idea. CPR training for specific industries, because you can imagine somebody searching for CPR training for restaurant staff, CPR training for construction workers. Um, so this is all good. And you could take all this and then take the output from this one and paste them into one document and tell ChatGPT to combine them into one if you wanted to, and then create this text here. So now that we have the page text, all we do is go into, let's say this is our, let me pause it real quick. Then you just go into your page builder. You probably have a template or something for all your service pages, and take this section here and paste it here and just, change well, let's do this so it looks better, right? Then of course you change the background, the image and everything and just change the text here. And you got multiple sections for types of service. So these little image, staggering image sections, let me refresh it because I don't want this to save, would be this. So basic life support. Okay, so let me take a step back. So this would be the head part. This right here could perhaps be this section. Then for this section, I mean, if you're using a tool like Brizy, it's super easy. It's just, you have these different blocks. I have all these saved blocks. So for example, well, I'll show you as I go here. So that would go there. Then enroll in our CPS classes now could be right here. Let's say that could be the button, enroll in the classes. Then you have this little intro text section. Now, if it doesn't give you this might fit here, right? Why learn CPR might fit in this section right here. If it doesn't, if you don't have anything, you can either just get rid of this section or just go back into ChatGPT and say, I need a 3 to 5 sentence blurb encouraging or highlighting the importance of CPR training or whatever, highlighting, describing, summarizing this page, trying to convince them to order our courses, whatever. So you could just take this, and that could be this section here. And then we get into the standard staggering stuff. So we go back here. I would probably do basic life support BLS. So that would be this first section here, this little blurb would be right here. Now, if you're using, Brizy, if you need more of these, it's easy enough to add, say I have a save block and just add another block. If you need to get rid of it because you have too many, just click delete here, right? You can add and remove things as easy as you want. So it could be, let's say you want to fill 6 blocks. You can just tell it, you gave me 4 class offerings. You could tell it to rewrite and give me 6 class offerings, right? And let me pause it real quick. So, but let's say if you look at this, you might want this text to be longer like this. So all you have to do is rewrite this so it's about twice as long. Or if you wanted to highlight something specific that it missed or highlight our company name and give it your company name. So just do this. Okay, that's probably too long. So you'd go back and make it a little shorter. So this is what I mean. It's not going to be perfect. I mean, you could have just done this if you wanted to, what it gave you, but I like to tweak it a little bit. You could have done just this, but I like to tweak it a little bit. This is probably pretty good. And you want to make sure you're including the location name in there, so Baton Rouge or whatever the location name is. And you could say make sure you mention Baton Rouge and decrease by about 20% length. Okay. And I'm not really reading this, so it could be outputting nonsense, but I'm just giving you an idea of how my thought process is. So this, it's hard to actually focus on what I'm doing when I'm trying to explain it, if that makes sense. So here would be that, and here, and if it's too long, then like I said, you can go in and rewrite it, right? And save it, which we're not going to do, is we're going to get rid of it. And we're going to refresh so we don't save it. And then just keep going down with all these different things. So let's say you have an instructor named John Smith, and let's say you don't have a little summary for him, but he has a biography on his LinkedIn page or something. You literally could paste in his LinkedIn page or the summary from his resume, whatever profile he has, and say, create me a 3 to 4 sentence summary of John Smith for John Smith, and here's his information. Paste, and then you can use that instead of this very generic text, obviously. And then just keep going down, right? So you just have to copy and paste this in and build these out one by one. Um, so FAQs, yeah. So I'm not going to read these and make sure they actually are accurate. You could give it you could say rewrite with my company name, which is, CPR Classes Baton Rouge, and my website is whatever, whatever, and it'll actually rewrite it using that information as well. So now, before you get to that step, ideally what you would do is take the landing page information it gives you, which I would never use because whoops, you need to put your own twist on things. We're going to use a tool called NeuronWriter. Now, of course, you could use Page Optimizer Pro. You could use Cora, which is probably the more advanced option, the more expensive option too. Surfer SEO, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to pause it while I log in. So I got NeuronWriter and AppSumo, I don't know, a couple years back maybe, and it was a one-time deal. Now they don't have that deal anymore, but they do. Their plans are pretty reasonable. $14 a month for 25 content writer analysis. Unless you're like a hardcore agency writing a lot of content, you're not going to do one piece of content per day, more than likely. So this should be good. Now there might be other deals on AppSumo, other tools that you might be able to get a lifetime deal on. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think NeuronWriter does a pretty good job. Obviously, Quora would do an extreme. Quora is like the hardest core of hardcore tools, right? And I think Page Optimizer Pro probably is the best, but NeuronWriter does a pretty good job. So let me log in and I'm going to pause it. Okay, so I'm going to just go to Norzer.me. I would for this, I would create a new project, obviously, for this client website. New query, and we're going to do CPR classes, Baton Rouge, United States English start. And we're going to pause it while it's working. You can see it's 28% done here. This is slowly going to progress, right? 36% done. It normally takes a handful of minutes until you get your list of SERP results and you select the ones that are accurate. So while you'd want to possibly unselect some SERP results. So if we go to CPR classes Baton Rouge, let's say in the results you might see let's say there's a game called CPR classes or something. That might be a top SERP result, but that's going to have a lot of keywords in there that are that are about a different topic, right? It's about a video game called CPR classes, which doesn't exist as far as I know, but you get the idea. So that's not something you'd want to analyze. You want to make sure you're only analyzing results that are actually um, that actually makes sense to what the query is. Let's do this. Let's get rid of this and see how far along we are. 95% done. And we're going to pause it. While it's finishing up, I'll point out one more thing. So you have this framework for all your web pages, for all your service pages, right? And let's say you have a summary box. You have two summary boxes, one, two, three, little blurbs, whatever. You can actually explain to ChatGPT what your template's like. Like I have 3 sections to list the types of classes and 2 areas to include summary type text. Please rewrite this page in that format. In a rewrite, it'll actually rewrite it for you, right? But generally, I like to work around what it gives me. And since there's, like Elementor and, there's page builders are super easy to use. It's not difficult to to build this stuff out anymore. Okay, so let me pause it real quick. So we're back. So we're going to click on Edit, CPR Classes Baton Rouge. So these are the SERP results. right? So do these results that it's analyzing actually answer the query? They all look valid to me. CPR classes, BLS certification, top 10 best classes. That's more of a listicle. That's a Yelp thing. I'd probably uncheck that, and we'll just include that's government, not that one. We'll do this one here. And so we'll analyze these top 10 or so results. Update competitors and continue. And it's going to take a couple minutes, and we'll pause it and be right back. Okay, so we are now going to take the text that ChatGPT gave us, and we're going to get a score, 24. You want to get, you never want to get to 100. That's too way over optimized. It's too much. I like to get in the yellow. Generally, like highest of all competitors is 76. The top, let's do this. Top 1 in Google, top 10 in Google is about 51. I normally like to get above 60. So you can see we're using the word CPR. The range is between 9 and 36 times. We're using it 33 times, so we're in the range, okay? So there's words were you overusing the word instructor, which I may not worry about, but you can see that that's what the red means. Emergency, we're using it 7. On average, it's used between 1 and 2 times. In person, that's something I would include. So if you don't know, if you don't want to figure out where to put this in, you could just go back here. I need to rewrite this to include the keyword in person 2 times. Paste it back in. Boom. Might lose some of your formatting. And you could say highlight where you're putting it. Right here, in person. So we'd go back here, add that, and you get 1 to 2. You could just do 1, fill that out, boom. American Heart Association, BLS. So anytime you mention BLS twice, one of those times just put American Heart Association in front of it. Okay. Now we don't have the title. Whoops. Save it. Title. So let's just take, think we could scroll up and let's do this. Give me 5 SEO optimized titles. And I remember above we said put certification in it and put first aid in it. But let's see. Okay, it came back with this. This is good. Before I do that, where it's 24. Meta description. So let's go back. Again, we could scroll up and get it from the original output. Give me 5 SEO optimized meta descriptions. And I know I made a typo, but Google is smart and it'll figure it out, or ChatGPT is smart. We'll just take this. Okay, so you can see here, we use CPR, Baton Rouge certification. This is what it's popular, but whoops, in the search results, half the top search results have CPR certification in the title. So we could do CPR and first aid. Let's shift these around to do first aid and CPR. Watch, this is going to turn green. Now, instead of enroll today, perhaps we could do BLS. Right there. Import certification. Okay, so we might want to see if we can get CPR class in there somewhere, or class, whatever. It's not gonna, you're not gonna be able to get them all the time because there's a certain amount of characters you can use. This might actually already be too long, but you get the idea. Description 166, so it needs to be under 160, so it's a little too long. CPR, Baton Rouge, first aid. So you might want to take, let's see, is enroll common? So enroll is not common, so let's get rid of enroll and just say in person. CPR and first aid. I don't know why. Oh, because it says first space aid. We have first dash aid. So it's going to, Smart engines are smart enough to know this is the same thing. So you got to use common sense. I mean, you can change it if you want. Let's change it just so you can see it turn green. Red cross approved, whatever. So you see a red cross there. Um, CPR class. Again, we'd rearrange first aid and CPR class so we get the CPR class green. Again, use common sense. Like this tool, you don't have to get these to all be green. It doesn't matter from an algorithm point of view. Google's going to figure out for, whether first aid is before CPR or CPR is before first aid. That it means the same thing. However, this tool is just going to ding you a little bit. So just know, you know what, you got it, but it's not giving you credit for it. I don't think you can say I got it. So okay, let's just save and close. You can see that got you up to 38. Then same thing, go through headings. Go through headings one by one. And if you spend about 30 minutes on this, you will slowly get up to 60 or 70. Ideally, 75, something like that, but 60, whatever, is all good. So these are the core ones you need to focus on. I generally try to get most of these in there. I wouldn't worry if it says you're using instructor 13 and the average uses 1 to 3. I probably would get that down some. That is pretty pretty extreme. So that's something you want to look at in person. You want to get that in there, which we did get in there. Responder, and these are more of the extended ones. Once you get up to 50, you're starting to get good. Um, Anything over 75 is really good. 80, I rarely get to, right? So you build all that out, right? And then now that you have that, you go to this checklist, which I will link to, or actually just come into the Discord and I'll share it with you. Just ask for the on-page SEO checklist. I'm actually going to update it and share it there right now. So give me one sec. So I just updated it because I added a couple things. The Norzer on-page SEO checklist. All you do is come into the channel here and go to resources, and it'll be posted today, which is August 8th at 1:30 p.m. By the time you read this, it might be updated again. As of right now, it's on version. I think I 1.4. Okay. So after you get the page, let's do this. As you get the page built up, you just want to go check all these things. Now, some of these are going to make more sense. This checklist is good is if you're hired to also look over somebody's landing page or service page. You need a checklist to go find out maybe why it's not ranking. So is it indexed? Is it older than 60 days because things need to stay updated? Is it satisfying the intent of the keyword? Is it high quality, original, helpful, up to date? Is the word count sufficient to maximize relevance? Et cetera, et cetera. So does the page load fast? So from a web performance point of view, is the phone number listed at the top right and clickable, right? So we're not going to go through each one of these one by one. Is there a video that's embedded from YouTube? Does it have schema? Is there a fact? Oh, are there, no, that's right. Are there frequently asked questions at the bottom? Testimonials listed, case studies listed, and some of these may not be applicable. Some of these, you don't have to do all these, not applicable. You know what I mean? But it's just giving you a checklist of things to think about. Award certifications listed, partnership listed as a map embed present. Keyword placement is your keyword and your geo and your URL. So geo meaning in this case CPR classes, the geo, the geography would be Baton Rouge. Is it in your title, meta description, H1, H2, first 100 words? Is your content optimized for NLP? In my case, it's by using NeuronWriter. You can use whatever tool you want. Links. Are you linking to other relevant pages in your website for internal linking? Google seems to like links. Anchor text. I always like to link out to trusted entities because it shows Google that you're part of the web ecosystem and you want to help people get from place A to place B. Do you have any broken links? There's a really great plugin in WordPress called Broken Link Checker. It'll just constantly scan your WordPress installation for broken links. If you have one, it'll send you an email. Now, of course, it does it when CPU usage is really low, so it's not going to um, uh, bog down your website. Are your links clearly links? So, make coloring scheme, all that. Are you using images? Are the SEO optimized? And are they optimized loading for speed? So convert everything to WebP. And you don't need anything that's 5,000 by 5,000 pixels, right? Images, 1,500 by 900, whatever it might be. And from an EEAT point perspective, does your page have appropriate disclaimers? Does your page list and link to all sources of information? Does it have a visible author? It's important to put the author on the page. Every page should have an author box. Well, if it's like a blog, that's more for a blog post thing, right? And so Google can get familiar with that person, and that person's name can build up trust. And from an EEA point of view, you obviously would link to their LinkedIn page and all that stuff. Um, so this isn't just for landing pages, this is just on page in general. So this is more blog post. So does it have a clear call to action, and is the page shareable, right? So I'll be updating this as I go along, but it's a pretty good checklist. So that's pretty much it. Um, then just set a reminder every 60 days, 90 days, no longer than a year. Make sure you go and update it. Make sure you go to it, look over it, make a few changes, and then save it. So Google's going to see you're making changes and keeping it fresh, right? It's not always, depending on the size of the website, it's not always possible to um, to go through every page. But if you can get to a page every year or two, that's fine. If it's a small website, every 30, 60 days, right? So if you like what I'm talking about, like, subscribe. This took a long time to make, and get out there. Join the Discord, subscribe. But I hope hope you guys found this useful. It's all free, right? Well, that's not true. NeuronWriter isn't free. But even if you don't have NeuronWriter, you could do this without that component, because things are going to be pretty optimized out of the box. I'd say you're 75% of the, if you used exactly what ChatGPT gave you and just made little tweaks based on your manual checks of other pages, and used Gemini to check what you're doing, I'd say you're probably 75, 80% of the way there. So join the Discord, let me know what you search to find this. That would be helpful. If you need any help with any of this stuff, head over to norzer.me. We can help you out. And I hope this helped. Later. Thank you.